Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. As promised, today is part 2 of what I want to say about the Maricopa County ballot audit that is going on right now. First, I just want to give you a little bit of news here because, well, it's good news. Well, when I say good news, it's something that should have been done a long time ago. Surprised it was not done. It's something I suggested, but, well, here's the headline. This is Tennessee, nothing to do with Arizona where the ballot auditing is going on. But Tennessee Legislature passes bill requiring watermarks on absentee ballots. Tennessee's legislature approved a bill that requires the addition of a watermark on all absentee ballots in a nearly unanimous vote. You can see how just common sense it is to put a watermark on these absentee ballots. So it's easy to determine whether a ballot is authentic or not. And I'm going to get to that more in a moment when we talk about Arizona. But this is very good. And this is one of the things that Democrats, well, obviously not in Tennessee, almost unanimous vote. But when our Democratic friends talk about voter suppression and trying to restrict votes, just votes of people who are not entitled to vote, this is just common sense. Why would you object to just putting a watermark on the ballots to make sure that they are real ballots when they come back? When you get ballots in, that's not something that somebody just photocopied. So that is a very good idea. I would even go farther and say they should, the states or the federal government, just as they print special paper for dollar bills, for currency, so that it can't be counterfeited, they should create some special paper for ballots and make it available to the states if they want it. Make it voluntary because the states control their elections. But if a state doesn't want the paper, and even better, offer the paper for free. If a state turns down free paper, then we have a right, I would think, to wonder why. And the reason better be because they have their own watermark. Anyways, what I want to do today is, it's something I've talked about in the past about not waiting for facts, about jumping to conclusions. But there's another aspect to not waiting for facts, and that is something that we're seeing from our Democratic friends again, which is about the Maricopa County audit. They are trying to discredit this audit before it's even completed. They haven't seen a report because there's been no report. They haven't issued a report yet, the auditors, this Cyber Ninjas, that's the name of the group, but they're also working with another group that I may mention as we go along. But the audit hasn't been completed, and they are already discrediting it, and it is being done by Republicans too. I saw on CNN an interview with a Republican who said that the audit is not being done professionally, but he didn't say how. How is it being done unprofessionally, and what is their work? We keep hearing over and over again that Arizona did an audit. They recounted the ballots. They did an audit of the ballots, but they don't show their work. They just give us their conclusion. An important difference between that and the Cyber Ninjas, the people doing this audit, is they are showing their work. And this is what I'm going to share with you today. I'm not going, there's about over 30 pages of instructions of how this audit is being conducted. I'm not going to go through the whole 30 pages or 30 plus pages. I am linking to the original documents in the description. So if you want to, and I advise everybody, read the description for yourself. Then judge for yourself whether these are good procedures or not. But what's going to matter in the end, this is the important thing, because they say, well, they have no experience auditing an election. This has never been done before. This kind of a forensic audit of an election has never been done by anybody. Nobody has any experience in this, but this group has extensive experience in doing forensic audits for court cases, for criminal cases, for lawsuits. As you'll see when I go through, I'm going to read you some of the procedures, and I'll tell you in advance, it may get a little boring if you don't want to listen to the whole thing once I get started. Listen to a little bit, and then you can go read the original documents if you want. But if you are interested, you will see how detailed these procedures are. The reason is because, and this is especially true of the chain of custody of the documents, in this case ballots, being examined, because it has to hold up for a court case, could be challenged in court. It almost certainly would be, depending on the conclusion, what this report says that we're all waiting for. If it says that there was a lot of fraud, that there's a significant number of counterfeit ballots, then I would assume it's going to, whether it goes to court or not, there would be a challenge to it. So they are making very sure, according to these procedures, unless they don't follow them, but then the burden is on somebody else to show that the procedures are not being followed, where and when. And remember that the website is azaudit.org, where you can see 9 cameras of they are left on 24 hours a day, whether people are there or not. So you can see the pallets of uncounted ballots so far, or unexamined ballots. You can see the people working. You can see the observers. The observers are the people standing up in orange shirts. You can see what everybody is doing, so you can just roll the tape, as happened at in the Georgia case. I forget where it was, a stadium or somewhere, where they were auditing in Fulton County, Georgia, about ballots. You may remember being pulled out from under a table. That was all on videotape. So if there's something that is not right, that's on videotape too in Maricopa County, Georgia. So now I'm going to give you well, not all of them, but some of the procedure, but I'm going to give you quite a bit of it just to show how detailed it is. So if you don't want to listen, then I fully understand, but I'm saying that here it is. It's here, and I put the links. You can see it for yourself. So here is one document. The subject: modifications to standard CyFIR. I guess that's the official name of the company or the process. Evidence handling procedures for AZ Arizona audit. In other words, this first part is a memo showing some procedures put in place especially for this audit, for this specific facility where the audit is being done. Given the resource limitations of the Arizona audit facilities, CyFIR, I'm going to say CyFIR instead of CyFIR, I hope that's right. Anyways, CyFIR shall modify the procedures contained in the CyFIR Digital Evidence Policy and Procedures Manual with the following elements. A, an on-site evidence storage area will be established at the Veterans Coliseum. Area roughly 89 feet by 33 feet. The area will be fully enclosed by a combination of established masonry walls, wooden partitions, and chain link fencing. The chain link fencing shall be at least 6 feet tall. Access shall be restricted to one location in the chain link fence. B, a forensic imaging area will be established at the Veterans Coliseum. Area roughly 89 feet by 33 feet. The area will be fully enclosed by a combination of established masonry walls, wooden partitions, and chain link fencing. The chain link fencing shall be at least 6 feet tall. Access shall be restricted to one location in the chain link fence. Location of the imaging area shall be directly across the main passageway from the evidence storage area. C, there shall be direct visibility into the evidence storage area from the passageway and the forensic imaging area. D, 24/7 live video monitoring shall be established prior to the evidence reception on both the evidence storage area and the forensic imaging area. It is my understanding, the writer of the memo, it is my understanding that this video monitoring shall be live streamed to the internet for transparency. This is the website I keep telling you about, 9 video cameras on all the time. you can see for yourself. E, an armed security guard shall observe the evidence storage area and the forensic imaging area on a 24/7 basis. F, the openings in the chain link fences shall be secured when not occupied by the digital forensic team and evidence custodians. Only 2 personnel, the digital forensic lead and the deputy forensic lead, shall have the ability to open the evidence storage area or the digital forensic imaging area. So only 2 people have access to the area, so these 2 areas, so nobody can just wander in. That's what they're saying here. That was all the first part, number 1. Number 2, normal evidence handling procedure shall be followed with the exception that the Arizona Senate legal team shall inventory and accept the subpoena evidence prior to in processing that evidence into the evidence storage area. They obviously, or the writer meant prior to processing. There's a typo there. 3, during work hours, there will be a primary evidence custodian and a secondary evidence custodian located in the evidence storage area. They are responsible for the establishment and maintenance of the digital evidence chain of custody. 4, all evidence will be preserved using Logic Cube Write Protect devices, ensuring that there is no change to the digital devices being imaged. So that is the memo, the special procedures that were put in place, or some of the procedures that were put in place for this particular ballot audit. As you can see, they are quite detailed as far as maintaining custody of the evidence if something is tampered with. Well, I don't see how something could be tampered with, but if something is somehow, they know who to talk to. There are only 2 people given access to those 2 areas. It has to be one of those 2. And then there's this other person also mentioned later. So basically 3 people. So now we're going to the counting floor policies. These are the people you see in the videos. If you watch the videos, sitting around these big round tables and other tables. I'm only going to give you some of it again. As I said, you can go to the links and read the whole thing. Counting floor policies, part of counting floor policies. Number 2, we must take great care to protect the ballots and return them in the same condition we received them. In order to protect the ballots, the following rules will be enforced. No food or beverages, no white paper, no black pens or markers, no blue pens or markers, no personal items. All movement with ballots, cutting of seals, application of seals, and similar actions will be appropriately documented and logged, as well as captured under video to be sure the custody of ballots is maintained at all times. Access to the counting area will be restricted to authorized and credentialed individuals who have passed a comprehensive background check with mandatory security searches and in-out logs whenever entering or exiting the counting area. Items permitted on counting tables: tally sheets, red pens, green pens, magnifying rulers, pod-colored paper, clock, printer, computer, blank USB drives. And now for the counting. A ballot will be placed in the ballot tray on the turntable. The turntables will rotate to display the ballot to each of 3, count them, 3 counters. Each counter will place a single line, a tally, in the ballot column indicating that 1 ballot has been viewed. Counters will view the paper ballot and place a single line in the column that corresponds to the candidate selected. An image of the ballot will be displayed on the monitor above the counter's desk area that can be used to view a larger version, but must be confirmed on the paper ballot. All tally marks will be made in the same row as that ballot number. After 5 ballots, the tally marks will be made in the next column down on the page. And then we get to the next step, which is totaling the tally sheet. After 100 ballots have been tallied, the counters will add the totals of all columns and write the final number of tallies in the totals box for the corresponding candidate. The table manager will compare the totals on the tally sheets from all three counters. If the counter totals match, the tally sheets will be signed and completed. If two of the three counter totals match, the discrepancy will be noted and the tally sheets will be signed and completed. If none of the totals match, the table manager will direct the reconciliation process. There's a typo here, it says but it has to mean by. If none of the totals match, the table manager will direct the reconciliation process by identifying which group of 5 ballots includes the discrepancy. A recount of the 5 ballots will be completed using the counting process outlined above. And now we have here the tally sheet guidelines. Write and tally in green ink and correct in red ink. Be sure to fill out the form details completely. Be sure to print legibly. Write your initials clearly. Voided tally sheets and completed tally sheets must be sent to aggregation table with separate custody forms. They are aggregated in different ways and need to be separated. And they have here in big bold letter, never rip up voided sheets. Treat the tally sheets like a legal document. Make corrections with a single slash. Big bold letters, do not scribble or X out tally corrections. Explain your corrections in the margins and initial. And in bold, be sure to initial both next to your correction mark and explanation. And there's more, I'm going to skip ahead here. Ballot batch recount procedure. The ballot counting is expected to achieve a very high level of accuracy. The ballot counting teams must be accurate to within 0.03%. That would be 3/100ths of 1% accuracy. All ballots will be counted by 3 counters. After every 100 ballots, the 3 counters will total their tally sheets. If all 3 counters' totals on the tally sheets agree, the tally sheets are sent to aggregation. If 2 of 3 counters' totals agree, but the third counter is off 1 or 2 votes in any one race, the tally sheets are sent to aggregation. If 2 of 3 counters' totals agree, but the third counter is off by 3 votes in any one race, the ballots must be recounted. Okay, now we're on to one of the other parts of the counting. You see these people in blue shirts with the ultraviolet scanners. So here's what they're doing. I'm going to read this whole process again. I hope I'm not boring anybody, but it's important. If you don't want to listen, you can just read it. I gave you the links again in the description. Paper Examiner 2, and again, I'm not reading you the whole thing. So we're talking about Paper Examiner 2. Paper Examiner 2, microscope camera. Paper Examiner 2 will place the ballot on the LED microscope pad platform. Paper Examiner 2 will slide the presidential selection scope to the appropriate alignment arrow. When visually confirmed by Paper Examiner 2, a mouse click will trigger all form microscope cameras to capture images. This would be, the image would capture the corner, alignment bullseye, large timing mark, presidential selection mark. That's Paper Examiner number 2. I didn't give you Paper Examiner number 1 because I think these are the important parts again, but you can read for yourself. Paper Examiner 3, tactile and light examination. Examine the physical ballot. Note any differences or observations about the thickness or feel of the ballot, and if necessary, attach thickness designator. If election day poll vote, note the presence of a visible fold. If non-election day poll vote, note the absence of visible fold. Confirm fold designator on file name is correct. Designators, those are the designators. Note any visible differences in the colors or text of the ballot. Place ballot under UV, ultraviolet B, and UVA source and compare 2 representative specimens. And this is very important because every paper has a distinguishing characteristic to it. So they will have samples of actual ballot paper that they've scanned under ultraviolet light and that they are keeping with them for comparison purposes. And then they have the actual ballots. The ultraviolet examination will show right away whether somebody used different paper, for instance, running off a bunch of copies on a photocopier. It would also show things like if the marks, selecting filling in ovals on the ballot sheet, if it was Xerox impression, a photocopy impression, as opposed to somebody pressing a pen into the paper. The ultraviolet lights would detect that too. So now we go to the forensic examiner. If you've stuck with me this long, you're probably going to be very happy to know that this is a very last item. Forensic examiner. All questionable ballots will be evaluated by the table lead forensic examiner. If the forensic examiner determines that the ballot is questionable, the ballot will be removed from the batch and sent for further analysis. And then I would just add one more thing that's not on this particular list, but it's elsewhere in these documents. They are also going to weigh the ballots, a stack of ballots. They have a number or a certain tolerance from weighing a stack of legitimate ballots, so they have that as a yardstick. Then they can weigh a stack of actual, ballots that they are examining against the control stack of ballots. If there is a statistically significant difference in the weight of the ballots, they know right then and there that they really have to look at those ballots because there must be some different kind of paper in there somewhere and not just one sheet probably. Maybe the scales are that sensitive, but you're going to have a few sheets. And then another, I guess I'll give you one more that I didn't mention in all these documents, completely separate thing, but they're going to interview actual voters. And I would also assume that they're going to check voter rolls, whether votes for dead people were cast and so on and so forth. I'm going to end on that note and just reiterate, well, you've just heard for yourself how detailed these procedures are. So the question for the state of Arizona, the officials who said that they conducted an audit, and I don't think they did, I think it was a recount, show us your work. Show us that and how you examined all of 2.1 million ballots in Maricopa County as extensively as this audit is being done now. That's the challenge, and if they can't do that, well, I don't think they can do it. And you can see that phrase I keep using, flop sweat. You can see why they are obviously panicking. They are trying to color our impressions of the audit before we've seen the results, because when they do see the results, they're really, I predict, going, well, I don't want to predict. Now I'm falling into my own criticism, which is jumping to conclusions. The audit may show that everything was kosher, that everything was fine. That would be the best result, but it could show the opposite. And if it does show that, then all these people who have been criticizing, or who are criticizing the process now, they're really going to have their work cut out for them. But on the other hand, I predict that our biased liberal media is going to make the work as easy for them as possible. And I'm making it very easy for all of you to give me a thumbs up if you like this vlog. Share with anybody you think would also like it. Got any comments? Comment section below the vlog where you can put questions, suggestions for future topics. You could subscribe. I love getting new subscribers. Visit my other channels, my food channel, my hot dog channel. I haven't really been doing much with the food channel, but I am with the hot dog channel and my music channel. I just put up a new song, got another one in the pipeline, should be ready soon. And then come back and see me again, because I really do appreciate the time you spend with me. I would love to see all of you again. I look forward to seeing all of you again, and until I do see all of you again, Bye.